Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7, and welcome back to some more Sims 4 building. Today we are back on the D&D group mansion home thing that I am creating. If you missed the previous parts to this, especially part 1, where I explain what is going on with this build, why there's going to be so many parts for this build, and so on and so forth, then definitely go check it out. There is a link down in the description below to the playlist. I also think I have a separate link that goes straight to episode 1 so that you can go and directly click on the first one if you need to hear all the rules and reasons why I'm doing things the way that I'm doing, and so on. So definitely click on those if you need to. If you've already been watching all the previous parts, welcome back. How are you doing? Hope you're having a great day and are looking forward to today's video. Now, in this part, we obviously are already starting here on lovely bathrooms. There's so many bathrooms in this mansion. I'm not even quite sure how many bathrooms there are at this point, but I can tell you it's a bunch. Like, so many. But in reality, there's gonna be around 30-some people, at least in this house at all times. If they have visitors, then there's gonna be more than that. So I needed to make sure that there was plenty of bathroom space. Also sitting space. I talk about that several times already, that constantly one of the things that is on my mind that is that, how many Sims are going to be in this house. And just in case, obviously, not all the Sims are going to be in one room at one time. At least I wouldn't think they would be, but again, whoever knows? They may try to surprise me. But I want to try to have enough seating and enough going on in that room that if for some reason they do, then hopefully, everyone gets a spot or, somewhere to chill and hang. Obviously, 30-some Sims, still not going to be enough room, but, I try as long as, there's close to a big amount of space for that many Sims to be in. Hopefully, we're all good. But, anyway, I'm so looking forward to actually eventually putting these Sims into this house. I am so excited for this little mini-series. Not just because it is my D&D characters, imagined as, Sims and actually getting to see how they look and how they sort of interact with each other, but also just simply, even if it wasn't these Sims, if it was just a collection of a bunch of different Sims, even from, some of my other series, I took, some main characters from, each series I've ever done. So, some from the Eevee family, some from the Forgotten family, some from Fame Trio, some from my Strangerville Let's Play, some from what started as my Solani, but I never finished it for several reasons. I talk about that a long time ago to why I didn't finish that. I don't know. I might eventually do a update or go back to that. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, or my current female gaming legacy challenge and Not So Berry people, something like that. That would still be fun and interesting just to put a bunch of different Sims with different personalities into the same house and see what happens. I am going to, as long as they're still working when I go to do this mini-series, I for surely know that I'm going to have MCC in, I'm going to have Slice of Life, I'm going to have Wonderful Whims, I'm going to have the chemistry system, and I think that's the 4 big ones that affect personality, and I'm also hoping to have the 5 traits for each of the Sims actually set. So if all 5 of those things are working, then I hopefully will have my Sims having loads of different personalities and it not being, the same Sim 30-some times. So hopefully we'll see how that goes, because otherwise it's going to be craziness. I mean, technically, did I say that wrong? It's going to be craziness if everything works. If everything doesn't work and doesn't give them personality, then it's going to be whatever. But anyway, you get what I'm trying to say here. It's going to be interesting, or at least that's what I'm aiming for. But yeah, I will not be controlling these Sims, except for in very rare cases if it calls upon, if the house is just getting way too messy, which I think I have, 1 or 2 neat Sims, so hopefully you know, at least those few neat Sims will actually keep the place. I also think I'm going to give them enough money that there is going to be, like, a maid that comes. I'm not going to get a butler because I don't have enough room to put a butler. I don't remember. It's been I did a lot of voiceovers, like, back to back, and then took a mild break because I focused on trying to do voiceovers for the D&D characters. Create-A-Sims, which, if you haven't seen those, that is going alongside the series so that you can see the actual Sims who are going to be going into this mansion, being created, see their traits, what they look like, learn a little bit about them, and their backstories that they have for D&D and how that was used to translate them over into Sims. There's going to be a link down in the description below for that as well, so go check that out if you haven't already been watching it. But anyway, what I was saying, I can't remember because it's been a bit since my last voiceover, and like I've been working on this mansion for a long period of time now, in between greenhouse seasoning and then transferring into actually having a new job, and it being retail, and retail being highly unpredictable for your hours unless like you specifically request it, and if you specifically request to only work certain days, you're probably not getting a whole lot of hours, and me, this is like, you know, my main source of money, so obviously I'm gonna take what hours I can get. So yeah, it's a little bit iffy on what days I work and what days I don't work, how long I work that day, and all that stuff. So, you know, this being my way of getting builds back on the channel was, I think, a good idea for me until I get used to things, which I've sort of gotten used back to hang of things and getting things all settled. Eventually, in my future, there is probably going to be moving involved, so that will be another hurdle, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime close to while this series is going on, so I'll be back to regular builds when that comes, but I'll hopefully try to plan ahead for that, so yeah, anyway. But I'm not sure if you've seen some of the changes. As the time goes on, I decide to either add a whole nother floor or, you know, make some like dramatic changes to the layout because like I decide to change things up. I know at one point I'd add extra rooms, which I feel like I know I've at least mentioned it in the voiceovers. I don't know if I've actually showed it in the videos yet, but I do add. I get to the final level of basement that it allows you, like it will not let you build a lower level after the level that I have. But I wanted, one of the things where I'm going to be doing is where each Sims morning, I will roll the dice and the dice will determine whether these characters, like what access they get. And I think I'm going to do it at least the first day. So I don't know, obviously I'm still working out some details and some of them won't be worked out until like I basically start recording. One being, I don't know how long necessarily each episode's gonna be, and I want to at least go through a whole sim week, so that is my goal. I am hoping that the way I can do it, I can put the last day, which it would be Saturday, or whatever day I start this on, where I've been moving the D&D Sims into this world. It's already played some days because of lighting situations, and like I've actually been adding stuff to this world as well. I've been trying to focus on things that look fantasy, magical, so that if they were to go out, there is options to choose from. Now, I'm not planning on them actually going out until the very last day, which is Saturday, which is why I hope the way that things play out Saturday will be almost one recording all on its own, and then the rest of the recordings will either be 3 days and the second recording 3 days, or it be 2, 2, 2, and 1. You know, something along with that. But basically, time will tell once I get to actually physically recording it for that one. I just want Saturday to basically almost have a full recording to itself, just because there might be a chance that they get to go out on the weekend. But if I end up doing this mini-series, like extending it just a little bit, just to see what happens, if people are interested in seeing it, maybe I'll play out for like a whole Sims year or something like that, or at least the Sims like season, or you know, like a month's time, so 4 Sims week, whatever. Let me know down in the comments below if you already feel one way or the other, or if you want to wait until the mini-series starts playing and then mention like, yeah, I actually think it'd be cool if this could go on for a little bit longer, like do a few more weeks or something like that. Or try doing the whole Sims year. But if you're already sort of interested to see how a whole year goes, see like as the holidays progress and things like that, then we could do that, and I will play it like every single Saturday is a going out day, and the rest of the days they're stuck here at the house. but the dice will determine what rooms they have access to. Can they go outside? Can they go to the gaming room? Can they go into like the little dance room? So on and so forth. I will set like a list when I roll the dice 1 through 20. So that's why I end up adding like a whole nother basement level to make sure that there's enough rooms to fit the 1 through 20 section of the D20 dice, so that when I roll it, it determines which rooms they have access to. If they get a D20, then they have access to the whole house. If they get like a D5, then they only have like access to 4 or 5 rooms. So a D5, roll a 5. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not sure if I've actually shown video of that just yet. I partially think not. I think when I seen a glimpse of the basement area from like a zoomed out view, it didn't look like there was another level there, so be prepared for that to be eventually a thing. Even if it already is a thing, you definitely at least haven't seen it be decorated. So that's a little bit later on. I think it's not too far from now though, so yeah. Anyway. But at this point, we've done a few more bathrooms. So many bathrooms. I got tired of I got so tired of doing bathrooms for a while, because I would do them in groups. But at the same time, I was like, I almost want to do them in groups, just to try to get them done and over with. But yeah, so there was a lot of bathrooms. But now we're doing the entryway, adding a lot of umbrellas here, because I wanted it to seem like, you know, there's actually a whole lot of people that live in this house. So obviously there's going to be more than 1, 2, 3 umbrellas, especially considering some of them have are a vampire. With my D&D characters, I technically only have one D&D character who is a vampire, but to give the feel of a certain aspect of a character, like if they are a revenant, or in one case, I think by the time you see this video, you should have seen Leafs, or Lefts. I keep saying his name differently every single time, for some reason, but, where he's a were-tiger. Obviously, we don't have werewolves, otherwise I would have flavored it like that, but at least to give him the 2 different looks, I gave him the vampire trait, because it made more sense than the other ones that give you a different look. So, yeah. So with that in mind, they definitely need an umbrella, and then there's going to be some people who just really don't like the rain. And I think my next character, who, at the time of doing this voiceover, I think this one is going to show before this character actually comes up, so I'm not going to talk too much about her. But what she is, I don't know how her and the rain would mix too well in like a real D&D thing. Like, I feel like she would have to try to cover up, or she would slightly change form or something. You're probably really confused, but keep an eye out for her video. She is the next one after Lef. Once the next character after him, it will be her, and it will be more understandable what I'm talking about here. But yeah, we have the entryway right now, so I was just sort of decorating it. I like decorating the entryways, because, you know, it's the statement of the house, and considering this is like more of like a group home in a way, like a bunch of people live here, some of the like rooms that are not specific to anyone, I just decorated however I felt, imagining that, you know, me as a TV host, we're just gonna go with, and like the TV company came and decorated these rooms beforehand. Obviously, you wouldn't really fully know the personalities, you know, the cast is still being picked out and still being formed. We're just designing this thing however we want. We want it to look presentable, we want it to look good for TV. That is basically the mindset to a lot of these rooms, is what is their function and make it look good for TV. Sort of, basically, in a way. And honestly, going into a lot of these rooms, I don't really know the theme of what I'm doing until, like, I just started doing it. And that's one of the things, like, when I started this build, like, I didn't go in with any particular full idea in mind, so this build is sort of constantly changing, it's constantly altering, but in some ways that's been really fun, because I feel like sometimes with the builds that I do for the channel, I get too focused on trying to get it done as quickly as possible, like, worrying about, like, how is it gonna look in the video, is it gonna be, like, you know, are people gonna like it, or, and all that stuff, and this is more of just me having fun, which is why I'm also using CC. Not only am I planning on using this house, so obviously CC is nice to have, it sort of fills up spaces that the packs and the base game don't, because eventually, if you have a really big house, and even if you have most or all of the packs, sometimes with these bigger homes, it's hard to fill the space up without constantly using some of the same objects over and over again. So being able to use CC for that fact alone is nice. So, you know, obviously there are some objects that probably have been used more than once in this build. This is a huge build, even with CC. Also, there's some CC that I probably just gravitate to using more than the other CCs, just because I like how it looks and it's fitting the room. But the thing is it's not going to be nearly as bad as if I used just like EA stuff, like not using any CC. Like, it would have got very repetitive very quickly. Yeah, so that's not what I wanted, but it's been nice to just, you know, have fun, enjoy decorating, not really worrying about the time, not really worrying about like necessarily how others will view it and things like that, and trying to make it be necessarily easily used for everyone, because a lot of times I put my builds up on the gallery. I'm still going to be putting this build up on the gallery. Obviously, a lot of things are not going to come with it because I use a lot of CC, unless you just happen to have some of the CC I have. I don't have a CC list, one, because I don't know when I'm splitting these videos beforehand, so knowing which CC is in what video is beforehand is sort of hard. But definitely feel free, if you see me using a piece of CC, put a time code, tell me, like, you know, what it is. I really like this vase at, like, 18.46 minutes, you know, 46 seconds, like, 18 and 40, whatever, anyway, you know. Do you remember where you got it, or could you tell me, like, help me find it again or something? Now, obviously, it's going to be somewhat hard for me to sometimes find some CC, but I definitely will help you the best I can to try to find that exact piece of CC, and if I can find it, I will give you the link even, so that you can go directly to it. So never hesitate to ask me about any of my CC in my videos. I can't guarantee that I can find it for you, because I am somewhat of a collector in a way, even when it comes to Sims CC stuff. I have a hard time getting rid of CC unless it's literally just completely broken, not working anymore, or it's a style that I've gotten tired of seeing in my game. I have folders back all the way from when The Sims 4 first, like, closer to when it first started, when I first started using CC. Some of those folders still exist. Over time, they've lowered a whole lot, so they only have like 3 or 4 items in them. But still, some of my CC is that old, and it's still working just fine for me. Now, sadly, you can't say that for all CC. Some CC is going to break over time, and there's not going to be batch fixes for it. Usually, if it's something like all the CC toilets or all the CC beds break or something like that, you can find a batch fix from Sims 4 Studio. But you're not always going to find that, so, you know, some of the CC does eventually have to go away. But I don't usually get rid of it until it breaks, or I'm like, yeah, I don't want it anymore. So, can't promise that I will be able to find the links, because sometimes, sadly, CC creators delete links for one reason or the other. Sometimes it's just because they want to stop creating in general, and they don't want people constantly asking them, like, when are you going to start creating CC again? Are you ever going to start creating? So sometimes it's probably situations like that. Sometimes it may be they've provided a new link for that item and I didn't realize it, and they've slightly changed the name to the item, so it's a little bit harder to find. Or it may be just for some reason they have moved their locations to their links and they didn't include all their CC back. Like, they may have moved from putting their CC on one site and now they're putting it on a different site, but they didn't transfer all the CC over. Something like that. Or it may be a situation like Patreon. Patreon. Blah, blah, blah. I do get some CC from there, and I do occasionally, every once in a while, forget, like, the tiers. Like, you can buy the different tiers and get early access to CC. Now, some CC creators say that you get early access, but I have noticed that some of them almost never put their old CC for public access, even if they say, like, in their tier list you get early access to it, or like in the following you get it later on down the road. So some of the CC may be situations like that, where at one point I subscribed to a certain tier of a CC creator and downloaded it, and then, you know, just went on my way, put it in my game, didn't think much about it. But I will try my best to let you know where I got the CC. Even if it is someone from Patreon that puts a pay thing on it, I will let you know. Be like, hey, it's from this person on Patreon. They do require you to purchase a tier to get access to this particular CC. But hey, if you want to potentially go give that a shot yourself or whatever, here you go. So, this option's still there. And that goes for even my creative Sims as well. If you see certain hairs and stuff like that, don't hesitate to ask. I just can't 100% promise you that I can find it, but I will definitely try my best to help you out and find it, or at least give you a starting area to look. Like, if I know I got it on the Sims resource, I probably will go ahead and comment just so that you know that I'm not ignoring your comment and be like, hey, I know I got this on the Sims resource, I'm gonna go try to figure out exactly which creator it's from and try to get a link for you, or at least tell you the creator. But I will, for now, at least tell you that it is from the Sims resource if you wanted to start looking for yourself. And then maybe a day or two later, once I find exactly more information about it, I'll re-comment and tell you more specific details. But I want to try to keep up with comments. In some cases, I've been bad about it. I've also been noticing sometimes, like, I see comments and I don't know if it's just my forgetful ADHD brain that's like sees the comment, reads it on my YouTube Studio app, means to actually comment to it, because I think of a reply to it and then forgets to actually send the reply or type the reply. I don't know what's going on. But it seems like some comments that I really thought that I replied to didn't get replied to. I know I've been doing that a lot to Smurfette Sims comments, and I think also her name's Bree. I feel like they have commented the most recently, and I feel like I've accidentally read their comments and then forgot to reply to them. I'm really sorry if either one of you are watching this and I have forgotten any of your comments to reply to. I don't do it on purpose. I have really bad forgetful brain, sadly, though, but I'm definitely reading them, and I definitely appreciate all the comments and stuff like that. It means a whole lot to me, so thank you. I always double check, though. Like, I go back and double check to make sure I reply to comments, and that's usually when I find them. It may be a bit while later than I mean to, but I will reply to them. So definitely feel free to leave a comment. But I'm trying to get better at it, so yeah. Just be patient with me. At this point, you have already seen even more bathrooms, because you never can have enough bathrooms in a 30-some person house. I think I mentioned it was going to be around 32, I believe. That's what I was saying. Why, character-wise, I could actually find the piece of paper where I wrote down all the characters' names and actually counted out, but it's getting a little close to the end of this particular video, so I'll actually just mention it in the next part. I'll actually count before I do the next voiceover and give you an exact number, but I will tell you that if it's 32, it's actually going to end up being 33. I recently restructured one of the floor's layouts, not by a whole lot, it was mainly just shifting the hallway slightly and making a little bit room, and that's partially because there's one character that I randomly decided I was gonna add, and it's not gonna be I'm doing the Creative Sims in the order that I have created them, but there is gonna be 3 exceptions to the rule. 2 of them I was just really excited while creating them, and I really wanted to see them in the household, and I want some, like, diverse characters in the household, and these 2 are actually sisters, so I'd love to have, like, these sisters in here and see what happens. The third one is sort of, the third one that's got added in last minute, that's not going to be in the order of me creating them. It's sort of sad why I want to add her. I'm not going to go into details to why I add her. I will go into more details in her and one other character's video on how they're getting added in. But yeah, she is, there is an extra one, and I don't know if I'm going to add her day 1. I might have her as, like, a surprise guest that comes in on day 2. Just to see day 2 or 3 or something and see what happens. Let me know down in the comments below if you would like to have that last character be like a surprise character that comes in, like, on the 2nd or 3rd day instead of, like, immediately there with everyone else. Partially because of the fact that she does have a connection to one of the previous characters. Not so great of a connection, but I'm very interested in to see what happens. This is basically literally just a giant experiment to see what Sims will do. Obviously, there's mods playing an effect into it, but just see what happens in Sims when you leave these Sims just to do whatever. So, towards the end of this video, we'll be starting the kitchen, and when I say starting, I mean literally just starting. Because the kitchen, basically all you're going to see is the lighting, the flooring, and the wallpaper. That is basically all you're going to get to begin with here, and that's partially just because the kitchen is such a pretty big size room that I didn't necessarily wanted to include the whole entire kitchen, it would have made the video a little bit longer than I wanted to, but also at least wanted to be like, hey, you know, bathrooms are done, we're going on to the kitchen, we're getting on to some of these other rooms here. So yeah, so the kitchen here is just to show you that we're starting to move on to some of the other rooms. I think there's still going to be a few bathrooms on down the line, obviously, but I think within the next, like, the next 3 parts are going to be the last of the random rooms in the house. If even that, it might actually be less than 3, but we're getting very close to actually doing the characters' rooms, which is what I've been looking forward to doing the most, because I get to go, like, a little bit more crazier with the details for them, and actually, like, design the room based off their personalities versus just, hey, this is going to be a show, we want the rooms to look nice and pretty, type thing. But anyway, I hope that you're enjoying this series so far. I know it's a little bit weird for a build series to have so many parts, but like I've mentioned in, like, obviously part 1 especially, but also other parts, I designed this series to specifically be a series that's going to take a longer period of time, and it's also coinciding with the creative Sims of the Sims that we're going to be living in this house eventually. So yeah, hope you're enjoying it so far. Let me know which room is your favorite at this point. I really like how the study looks, and I like the pool. I think those are 2 of my more favorite ones, but I think once you see some of the other rooms going on, I think it will change for me. I already know what they look like, obviously, but you all don't, so I'll talk about that whenever they appear. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, you know, all that lovely YouTube goodiness, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. But until then, bye-bye!